Hi everyone, my name is Elena and welcome back to my channel, Speak Crime to Me. In today's episode, I'm just going to do a quick recap of the Murdaugh Trial, day 3 of testimony, but it actually started on Monday, so I guess some would say day 5. Today was a rather boring day in court. If you watched it, you know what I mean. It started out with just another police investigator, one that had been working with the team that they interviewed yesterday. It was a female police officer. She was one of the main investigators on scene the night of the murders, and then the next witness today was someone from what they call SLED. So SLED. It's a crime scene, I guess, a company or official company that works with the South Carolina County and does the investigation. So the police said that the initial police officers responded and then SLED took over the investigation. So some key takeaways from me today. So again, it was just a very boring day. The witness on the stand from SLED really was opening up bags and saying this piece of evidence was this. Her whole testimony. So it was a lot of opening shoes and seat belts and bullet fragments and things like that. One of the interesting things that we did here today was Alec Murdaugh's first interview with investigators. Obviously, we know he called 911, but this was his first time that he was sitting in a police car and the investigators were asking some questions. So a couple takeaways that I thought were a little strange. I do feel like he does a really good job of being emotionally distraught and then he's fine the next moment. So at the beginning, you really hear him talk about, he's like hyperventilating, and then the next moment he's talking about some Paul having threats and random things like that. So at the beginning, when he gets very emotional, he's talking about how, and this piece I don't know if you guys heard this, but I found this very interesting. So he talks about how he saw them and knew something was wrong. So as I take that statement, meaning that he was either in the main house or pulled up and saw them. But I think in opening statements, the defense said you can't really see in that kennel area, especially if you're at the main house. So I would love to understand. He didn't really elaborate when he says, I saw them. And then he says that he goes over to Paul and he thinks that he turns him over, and then a cell phone falls out, and then he runs to Maggie and he's checking both of their pulse. One interesting thing that I was reading was if he's checking their pulse and he turned Paul over and things like that, wouldn't he have had some like blood or something on his clothes? And I believe that investigators have said that he did not have any blood or anything like that on him. So during this interview, he comes up with one very strange thing that he starts talking about. He starts talking about how he hired this new guy to work on the property, and Paul had told him that this guy was recruited to be on a Navy SEALs team, and that he is he's working with these Navy SEALs to hunt down and kill radical Black Panthers. It's like the strangest thing. Like if your wife and son just was murdered, like why would you even talk about that? It's just strange. And then again, he talks about the boat accident and how Paul's been getting threats, and then the investigator's like, well, off the top of your head, like, is there anyone we need to be looking at tonight? And then he starts talking about these threats, and then this guy, how he was off today, but he's hunting the radical Black Panthers. And when he's talking about this, he's very calm. So he goes from hyperventilating to being very upset to being very calm and talking about these random things that to me make zero sense. So these are a couple of questions that came up that people or myself had heard during today's testimony, but we didn't really get any clarification on those. So one thing that was weird is that investigator with SLED said that Maggie's hand had some hair. Either she was holding some hair or she had some hair somewhere around her hand, but they never tested that hair, so they never got DNA from that hair sample. One thing I did talk about from the first day, and the defense has not let this go, when they talk about Maggie and Paul's death, they say butchered all the time, and they cannot let go of the brain part of Paul's. It is like they are fascinated on that. I don't know if they feel like saying butchered and talk about this brain is going to make the jury lean more to the defense, but it's very strange how much they bring that up and why they call the murders of them being that they were butchered. Something else that was again, we didn't really get any updates on, but that I told you guys when Alec called 911, he told the operator who was running back to the main house to get a shotgun. He wasn't sure if he felt safe. Apparently, there was some blood on that shotgun, the side and near the muzzle of the gun. But we don't know if that was tested, or we don't really know any more about that. So again, another kind of strange thing that was brought up. As we know, this trial is taking place in a very small town in South Carolina. You can tell just by how small the courtroom is. And another funny thing that I really love, but you can tell this is probably only happens in small courtrooms, is the judge does these standing breaks, like, let's take a moment to stand. You would never see that in like a large courtroom, so it is kind of cool to see that. But they are letting other police officers and investigators and they are able to hear their colleagues' testimony. And that is not normal. So that is a little strange why they're not having these witnesses sequestered during this period of time, because usually they cannot sit in the audience, especially if they are known as an expert witness or if they have the potential to be called back. So that is a little strange. I'm going to go over a couple other things that came out today when they were just pulling out the evidence and going over it. So apparently there were a few spots of blood from the liquid crystal violet that was sprayed on Alex Murdaugh's t-shirts and shorts. However, that crystal liquid would also react to if there is bleach on the clothes or rust. So that SLED investigator did not do any further processing of the shirt after she photographed it. There has been some dispute over some blood splatter on Alex Murdaugh's clothes and whether it was splatter from transfer. And I think I told you guys this in one of my previous episodes that the defense is claiming that the prosecution destroyed these, especially his shirt. So I don't think that they could do any further analysis on that. So they did go through, the SLED investigator today did unpackage a lot of fragments recovered from Maggie's autopsy, and then weighting collected from Paul's autopsy, shotgun pellets, and weighting collected from Paul's head at the time of the autopsy. Also unpackaged a seatbelt from Alex's car, and that's where they said that they found that gunpowder. Going back to Alex's interview in the car with investigators, I think I told you guys that he said that he tried to turn Paul over, and then he says his cell phone popped out of his pocket. He says, I was trying to do something with it, thinking maybe, but then I put it down real quick. Very, again, I don't even know what he means by that. But an interesting theory about him rolling over Paul's body is people are saying that he didn't roll over Paul's body, that the phone didn't actually pop out, But the phone was actually in the pickup that they had reported missing, Paul's pickup that was reported missing the night of the murders. They later found it in Hampton City, and someone brought the car back and put it on the body. We'll have to, once they get into the cell phone evidence, to really see what the Snapchat video and what's on Paul and Maggie's phone. I was mentioning to my sister, one, I think, key piece of evidence, if they have anything, is we know that Maggie usually is not at the Moselle house, and she came back that night around 8:15 for a reason. I wonder if there's a text of Alec asking her to come back that night, or exactly why she came back that night. We don't know that yet. So that's a real quick update of the Murdaugh trial day 3. They will start testimony on Monday with this SLED investigator, and she will start being cross-examined by the defense. So hopefully no more evidence opening as much as we saw today. But as always, list any comments, theories, thoughts, anything you'd like to share below, and please like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you all again for joining me here on Speak Crime to Me. Until next time.